Just know, in this week's astrology, every day that you walk through brings you one step closer to the Scorpio full moon. Hi, my name is Haley Comet. Welcome to Magic Monday, your weekly astrological horoscope series that breaks down not just what is happening astrologically, but how it is that you can align yourself with what is happening astrologically. Here within my cosmic corner of the internet, we utilize astrology as a tool to grab hold of opportune transits, to learn from more challenging alignments within the sky, and to really co-create with the cosmos in order to live your most magical life. And that's why we call it Magic Monday. So if that feels like something that would be helpful for your universe, we would still love to have you join us. I'm here every single week with a cosmic beverage in hand. Whether it's favorable astrology or more challenging astrology, I'll be here ready to guide you through it. Which is why it gives me such great joy to be sitting here with you today talking about this week's astrology, to tell you that it is cosmic go time. And the reason I'm so pleased to say that is because for the past 5 months or so, I've been like, yeah, well, Mars is retrograde. Yeah, Venus is retrograde. Yeah, Mercury is retrograde. Been a little bit of a cosmic holding pattern where you could have wanted to turn a corner or move towards new ideas or thoughts or visions, but you kept being snapped back to the past. You had to redo certain things. Things were experiencing delays and obstacles. Again, life goes on, time marches on. We continue to walk through the astrology. It's not that retrogrades pause everything, but you could have found there was an energy around taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, or just contemplating a lot of your story thus far and not necessarily feeling the push to write your next chapter of your story. And now you are being encouraged to write the next chapter of your story. We have all planets direct except for Pluto, and most of the planets have cleared their post-retrograde shadow. When planets are marching into new territories of the cosmos, you too can feel like you have the cosmic clearance to step into a new era, a new chapter of your own. Mercury, the planet of language, communication, thoughts, is entering into a new sign this week. It enters Taurus over the weekend. And you could just find naturally with Mercury having cleared its post-retrograde shadow, now moving into a new sign, your thinking is evolving. Your thinking is evolving. During retrograde, sometimes we are going back to the past. We are rehashing what's already been done. But now with Mercury direct and marching into new territory of the sky, there could be an energy where you're bored of the same old thoughts, the same old ideas. You could find that you're wanting to evolve your conversations. There could be an energy where it's like, I've just beaten this topic to death. And maybe there's still questions that have not been answered. Maybe there's still things that feel like there's a little bit of a loose end, but I'm just kind of sick of thinking about it. That could be an energy. It's like, I need to think some new sorts of thoughts. I need to have some new sorts of conversations. Or you could even just find naturally you're having new ideas that are coming up to the surface. It's such a powerful mode to be in that creation mode, to be able to look out at the world through the lens of opportunity around what could be. And I will let you know that is a gift of this week's astrology, is that you can feel rather inspired. But the spark of inspiration is much different than the consistency needed to take that spark into a bonfire, right? To sustain that flame and to turn it into something real, or that can generate heat, or that can be lasting. And I say that because this week, before Mercury enters Taurus, a new sign, Mercury in Aries will sextile Jupiter in Gemini. This could be an inspired thought. This could be a new idea. This could be a conversation that inspires you to view something differently. But it's important to grab hold of that momentum, or that encouragement, or that inspiration to nurture and stoke that flame. Because after Mercury sextiles Jupiter, it aligns with Chiron. And the voice of creativity can be powerful. It can take us to powerful places, but so can be the voice of our own insecurities. Because before you even give yourself the permission to take that idea from the space of creation to the space of implementation, the chasm that you have to overcome in order to get something from a thought into a thing is the chasm of your own fears, of your own insecurities, of your own inadequacies, of your own inner self-talk represented by Mercury's alignment with Chiron. This could show up around, yeah, well, no one would ever read that book if you were to write it, or you would never be able to change to that other position within your workplace. Like your authority figures would never go for that, or you couldn't really move across the country or to a different country. Like you're not bold enough, you're not brave enough. Sometimes the voice of our insecurities is the voice that wants to keep us stuck, not as necessarily a self-sabotaging mechanism, but because if you're stuck, it's the same old, and we know that in some way, even if our spirit is dying, we are safe there. We are safe within our familiar bubble. So sometimes when we have an inspired idea that promises to us a new reality, a new project, a new era of ourselves, we will have to overcome that voice within that tries to point out all of the reasons that it will fail, all of the reasons that we are not good enough, in an effort to keep us safe. AKA keep us stagnant or treading water in the same exact reality, telling ourselves that we could not possibly take that risk. We could not possibly make that leap of faith. We are not capable. But you never really know until you try. And if you're able to overcome that chasm of your own limiting beliefs, your own doubts, your own insecurities, your own inadequacies, your own inner voice that tells you that you took a wrong step, you'll allow that spark of a new idea to burn itself out. And this week is bookended with some rather intense energies. We just experienced Pluto stationing retrograde on Sunday, and we are building to the full moon in Scorpio next Monday. And so with Plutonian energies and Scorpionic energies bookending this week, the call is clear. It's time to reinvent ourselves. It's time to regenerate. It's time to rebuild. It's time for rebirth. But it's also time to be very honest with yourself, to look within around where you are clinging, not out of satisfaction, but out of fear, and where you can empower yourself to transform, to evolve, to step into the next iteration of your reality. And to really investigate your excuses, see what decisions you are making in life that are birthed in fear. You know, anything that you are not changing, you are choosing. And the Scorpio full moon and Pluto retrograde could really ask you to go within around, what am I not changing? And is this something that I want to continue to choose? Have you ever had that unsettling experience where you have a certain idea? Maybe it's an invention, maybe it's a film, maybe it's a book, and you have this idea, but you never take action on it. You're like, oh, that'll never work, or oh, I'm not smart enough to make that happen. And then you experience many years in the future, the exact vision come to life, that exact movie now showing at Sundance, or that exact book now on the New York Times bestseller list, or that exact invention basically in everybody else's home. You know, the universe is something to co-create with. And when there's a lot of forward momentum, as I said earlier, there's a lot of creative energy. You could have $1 million idea within your mind, but unless you believe in it, unless you match it with consistent effort, it'll be just that. It'll be a spark, it'll be put out, and somebody else will bring it to life. And it's not to say that every idea that arrives in our brain, we need to take all the way. But if there is something that inspires you, that ignites you, that you recognize all that's blocking you is your own fears or your own insecurities, it's important to really dig deep and to contemplate, because it doesn't feel good to see somebody else living out that exact vision, that exact idea, that exact dream. Ideas want to be made manifest. But the question is, will you believe in your ideas enough to manifest them? So as always, we will talk about this astrology plus so much more. But before we do, take a step inside my cosmic cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. So I am here with my trusted associate, collaborator, pal, friend, my favorite drink, a white chocolate Americano. I absolutely love this beverage. It always hits for me. Taurus season is a sign that is more consistent and reliable. And with this being a very sensual season where we're wanting to eat delicious foods and enjoy beautiful sights and indulge in the creature comforts of being a human being, I figured, why take a risk and try something new when I can just stick with the tried and true? I had this incident a couple weeks back. If you watch Magic Monday, you know about trying a new coffee beverage that just flopped extraordinarily. And I just love the comfort of knowing that what you're going to consume is going to be delicious, is going to be delightful. Like, I know the astrology is telling us to take risks and initiate new ideas, and I'm all about that, but it's also Taurus season, and I just really wanted to drink something delicious. And not have another white coffee incident. If you know, you know. And speaking of tried and true, another one of my tried and true faves in this world outside of white chocolate Americanos is my Ana Luisa jewelry, who is a sponsor of this week's Magic Monday and your ideal stop for Mother's Day. Mother's Day is coming up this weekend, and rather than having flowers that will eventually wilt when you give your mother or a mother within your life the gift of Ana Luisa jewelry, it is a gift that lasts. It is Taurus season, so this is a time of year that we are drawn to the finer things of life, the more beautiful things of life. I got my mom this beautiful layered necklace, which she looks so cute in, and my mom is very sensitive when it comes to jewelry. She will have a reaction if it is something that is cheaply made, which is why I felt so confident giving her the gift of Ana Luisa, because Ana Luisa jewelry is jewelry that lasts. They have a 2-year worry-free warranty on all of their pieces, and every piece of jewelry on their website is hypoallergenic, water-resistant, sustainable, and even though the quality is unmatched, the prices are actually quite affordable. Pieces on the website start at just $39, so you can show appreciation for a mom in your life without having to break the bank. And if you're like me and you tend to be quite last minute with things, fear not. Ana Luisa has crazy fast shipping options, fast free shipping to anywhere in the US. So if you're like, oh, Mother's Day is this weekend, I kind of slept on getting a present, take a look at Ana Luisa. They have all sorts of different jewelry styles in order to meet and match any sort of personality of the person that you are gifting it to. Here's a couple of pieces from my Ana Luisa jewelry collection that I feel like would be perfect for Mother's Day. And you all know how much I love Ana Luisa. Most of my jewelry that you see me wear week to week is from Ana Luisa. So if you've ever commented or DM'd me, where'd you get that ring? Where'd you get that necklace? Where'd you get those earrings? 99% chance I got it from Ana Luisa. So you can match with me. You could even match with mom. That might be really cute to gift a mom in your life a jewelry piece and then be able to twin with them. Another mom in my life is my sister. And some of you may know that I was recently just in my hometown, and my sister and I had a little sister night. And without even having consulted one another or planned it whatsoever, my sister and I showed up wearing the same exact Ana Luisa ring. I took a picture because I thought it was so cute. That we were so united that we picked out the same ring and then wore it on the same day to hang out with each other. My heart was touched. So please know how much I love Ana Luisa, the fact that I'm constantly draped in their jewelry. I got my sister on their jewelry, I got my mom on their jewelry, and maybe you can get your mom or your sister on their jewelry as well. So make sure to click the link below to shop their Mother's Day sale. Thank you so much, Ana Luisa, for being the sponsor of this week's Magic Monday. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into this week's vibe check of the week. Okay, we got a new incense burning, so that means that it's time for Vibe Check of the Week, which is a segment here on Magic Monday in which we compare all of this week's astrology to a real life scenario. It's essentially a technique to help translate astrology into real life, because it's all well and good when we talk about Venus sextile Pluto and Mercury conjunct Chiron, but what does that mean? How does that manifest within our daily life? This is a technique to help you see some of the real life scenarios that may play out with this week's energetic cocktail, so to speak. And this week, to put it simply, to be blunt, because I think we're all feeling quite blunt with Mercury transiting Aries, although it does enter Taurus later on this week. This week sort of feels like oversharing and having that vulnerability hangover, but because you were so honest and so real about some painful parts of your own experience, it allows you to experience more depth and more intimacy within your connection. Okay, we will say within this week's astrology that you do content creation. You are a beauty content creator. So you talk about makeup, you talk about fashion, and typically you keep it to the fashion and the makeup of it all. And we will say that there is a day that you're kind of going through it a little bit, but you decide to do a Get Ready With Me live. Okay, you do a live, a Get Ready With Me, because oftentimes being live, connecting with those that follow you, it oftentimes does cheer you up. and you just can't bring yourself to make your typical content. So you're like, I'll just go live and we'll see where that takes me. And so you are doing your makeup and you're talking about your products and you're doing what it is that you typically do. And you just have this moment where one of your followers asks you how you're doing and you feel your eyes well up with tears. It's always those random moments that sometimes catch you and just make you rather emotional. And sometimes you don't even understand why. Like sometimes hearing a certain song will bring you to tears if you're in a certain sort of mood, or having one small inconvenience will bring you into tears because you just don't know when things are going to ping you when you already are in a space where you're just feeling more raw. And that's the case with this live. And we will say that you are brought to tears and your followers are like, what's wrong? Like, you can talk to us. And typically on your page, you keep it very much to this concealer is this, and I wear this. And this is a great tip to keep your false eyelashes from doing this. But behind the fashion content and the makeup content and the fashion content, you are a human being and you're having a very human moment and you decide to share what's been going on within your world. You're really real with those who are in the live. And it was very cathartic to share and to be honest. To be honest, we've got Mercury and Venus in Aries. This is a sign that is all about to thine's own self be true. It is painfully uncomfortable to not live in alignment with who it is that you authentically are. It is painfully uncomfortable to perform. And in that moment, if you would have just like ignored that how are you question and just stuck to this is the best way to use blush for your face shape, you wouldn't have been real and true with your followers, yes, but also with yourself. That's just not the space that you were in. Like, this is astrology where we are really just wanting to be true to ourselves, however that may look. And honestly, it is very cathartic on this live being able to be honest, to be real, because to be completely forthright within your makeup content, your beauty content, you have been feeling less inspired, not because you don't have an authentic passion for makeup and for beauty, but because you're going through it. You're a human being who's going through it. You're not just a body with clothes and a face to put makeup on and hair to style. You're a human being. And you're having human experiences. And lately you've been feeling that nudge that you have to perform, that you have to act like everything's all good when you're crumbling a little bit. And there is a moment when you get off the live, though your followers were incredibly supportive and it felt really good to get that off your chest and to be very honest, and it did make you feel better. There is a moment when you click end live that you're like, oh, that was a bit of oversharing. You know, with this energy of Aries, we're all more inclined to be very real and be very honest, but there's an energy around, was that too real? Was that too real? Did I mean to share all of that? So part of you is panicking because you feel a little emotionally naked. You feel a little intellectually naked or mentally naked because you're letting your followers know and the world in on this side of yourself that you don't typically expose. And there is a little bit of a vulnerability hangover with that around, wow, people really saw the real me or the authentic human that's going through it, not just the makeup and the hair and the fashion, which yes, is a part of me, but I am so much more. And I can't act or pretend to just be the side of myself that loves hair and makeup when I'm just having some human stuff come up. And you end up getting a DM from one of your followers who was in the live, who was incredibly moved by what you shared and is saying, I'm going through something incredibly similar. It made me feel so much less alone that you dared to be real and honest with us. And after reading this message, you just feel so seen and so reassured that it's not just you who is struggling. And you feel very honored and touched that you were able to help someone in their time of struggling, in their time of going through it. And that feels more valuable than any sort of emotional hangover or vulnerability hangover. And it actually inspires you that you want to start creating content around other topics, around not just beauty and fashion, but also the life that you are living while looking beautiful and fashionable. And what it is that you post about, like you're just wanting to have more real conversations. It's feeling very cathartic for you to share what you are going through. And the conversations that you're having with your followers is deepening as a result of you opening up. And that feels so incredibly fulfilling for you. And it honestly invites in a whole new chapter of your content where you realize it's not that you don't care about fashion and beauty, but there's just other parts of you that you're wanting to unveil. Or and there's other topics that are real and raw that you're wanting to discuss. And this live prompts you to shift your content within a new direction. And is there a risk in that? Absolutely. You could shift your content and everybody hate it. People will be like, stop yapping about your problems. Just tell me what your favorite bronzer is. Or people unfollowing you because you're talking about topics that they're not particularly interested in. Like, there absolutely is a risk, but you recognize that it feels authentic and it feels inspiring. You're feeling inspired again. There was part of you, though the love for makeup is real, there was part of you that felt like you had to be like, okay, here's how to contour, and okay, here's a little trick that make your eyes look bigger. There was part of you where it didn't feel totally authentic. It felt a little forced. And now that you're giving yourself the clearance to think about, oh, I could do a video on this particular topic, or a video about what the best waterproof mascara is, because I've been crying a lot lately. Like, you're feeling inspired. You're having all of these ideas because you're allowing yourself to envision this new direction. And your current direction, while it was a good direction, you love fashion, you love lifestyle, it was feeling a little stale. Not necessarily in terms of follower growth or success, but in terms of your own excitement around it and having new ideas and brainstorming around it. But when you contemplate being able to widen what it is that you're talking about, all sorts of ideas are unfurling and blossoming and blooming, and you're feeling excited again. And that is such a powerful sign that you're headed in the right direction when you are inspired, when you're having new ideas. And sometimes you just need to decide that for yourself, that you're ready to go in a new direction, that you're ready to transform, that yes, it's a risk to depart what you've done before that you've been successful in or what have you, but to know that it's going to feel hollow and stale if it doesn't feel like you and you're feeling pulled in a new direction. You're feeling creatively inspired to go in a new direction, and it could succeed wildly, it could flop, but all you know at this particular moment is that it's feeling right for you to go towards this direction. You gotta follow what feels right for you. And life is a risk. It's a risk to stay where we're at. It's a risk to try something new. But at a certain point, you have to decide which is scarier. Is it scarier to stay still, or is it scarier to try something new, to go in a new direction? And you will be able to discern which path you should take based on what feels right. That fulfilling moment of reading that DM from your follower who's incredibly moved by your share, feeling the creative inspiration that you feel as you even contemplate what this new content direction could look like, that is all of the signs that you need that this is a direction worth following through on. And we don't know where the road will take us. Will it have some moments where we do feel a little exposed, talking about things that are more personal or more sacred to us? Absolutely. But the depth that you feel, the deep alignment that you feel to the content that you're creating, the creations that you're putting out into the world, that is worth it. And it makes for a risk worth taking. And like we were talking about in the beginning, that could have just been a spark. That live could have just been a spark. That idea could have just been a spark. But if you would have allowed yourself to talk yourself down or around, no one will like you if you talk about those sort of topics, or you're going to lose all the success that you've gained thus far. Or what if people from your hometown find you opening up about these more real topics? Wouldn't that be embarrassing? Wouldn't that be embarrassing? You could have allowed that small spark of inspiration to die out, to burn out. But instead, within the vibe check, you overcame that. You overcame that vulnerability hangover, that emotional hangover, and you allowed yourself to keep building towards this new direction because it felt real, it felt raw, it felt true to you. And that's the ultimate aim in life, is to build a life that is true to you. So we'll break this astrology down day by day. I want to remind you that I'm located on the West Coast of the United States. So my time zone is PDT. So I relay the astrology with that time zone. If you are located elsewhere in the world, please adjust to your local time zone, as the time and date of when these transits land may differ for you based on where you are located. There's also timestamps below. If you want to jump to a particular day, jump back to a particular day. There's also a playback speed if you want to speed me up or slow me down. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology for Monday, May 5th. On Monday, May 5th, at 10:21 a.m. PDT, Mercury in Aries will sextile Jupiter in Gemini, which can bring a more optimistic state of mind, more creative vision starting to pepper in, more expansive conversations that you're having with others. As I've been highlighting, Mercury in Aries is very honest. And so with Mercury in Aries, sextile Jupiter in Gemini, you can have more honest or blunt conversations that are widening your mind, that are opening up your perspective. You could be learning about something that's very real, or having a conversation around something that's very real. This can be a helpful day around brainstorming, envisioning, contemplating what could be. Inspiration and implementation are two different things. And I wanted to make that so clear this week, because this is the spark energy. This is the new idea. This is the conversation that ignites something within your brain. But a sextile is a very subtle flow of energy. Mercury in Aries is all around beginnings. Jupiter in Gemini is a little bit of a dabbling energy. Plus Jupiter is not positioned very strong in Gemini. So without consistency and grounding these visions down, this could be an energy around, wouldn't it be cool if there was an invention like this? Or wouldn't it be cool if we did this? We're throwing out an idea at the meeting that goes absolutely nowhere. Like, you forget about it. It's like squirrel. You just move on to the next thing. Definitely write down the ideas that come up today. Jot them down within your phone, journal them, text them to your bestie, comment them below on Magic Monday, unless you get an idea for some sort of invention that could change the world. Maybe get a patent for that before you start talking about it within the comments. But regardless, take at least a little bit of action to cement it, to grab it, because ideas are very transient things. Ideas come into our mind and then they depart. And like I shared earlier, a lot of times we will experience that energy where it's like we have a certain idea and someone on the other side of the globe has the same idea. And it's like, how does that happen? In the book, Big Magic, a lot of you have heard me talk about it before. It's a Magic Monday fave, of course. But in the book, Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert talks about ideas like they're butterflies, like they land on you and they want to come into existence. And if you don't grab hold of that idea, it will flutter to somebody else. Like, ideas want to be made manifest. And if you get in your own way around that idea around, I couldn't possibly, or what if this happens, what have you, that butterfly will get bored and it'll go somewhere else. It'll be like, okay, you're not going to start this new mental health podcast and pivot your fashion content, whatever, I'll go to someone else. We have to grab hold of those ideas. And it's not to say that you need to rush or force or launch all the things or debut all the things, but grab hold of it in some way. Write it down, ponder it, research it, contemplate, is this something that I want to pursue? Because if it's not, more ideas will come in. You don't have to take charge of every single one. But sometimes something just lands upon you that just feels real and it just feels right. And it feels really good to be in that space of creation. It helps you feel very lit up and very inspired. And there's a lot happening in the world, of course, where things could feel very bleak. Like, what's the point? Or it's not the right time. It's not the right time. When you get the nudge, it is the right time. And if you keep looking out at the world, just waiting for the right time to debut it, that time will never arrive. Of course, there's times that are more favorable astrologically, but as I highlighted, the cosmos are ripe for new beginnings, debuts, and launches, and pushing things out into the world. Truly. We can't really use the astrology as an excuse right now. If you've been sitting on something and like, maybe next quarter, maybe when Mars retrograde ends, maybe when Venus retrograde ends, maybe when Mercury retrograde ends. Yeah, what's your excuse now? And there's always going to be something, is the thing. It's like there's always going to be something around, okay, well, when the kids get older, or when we pay off more off the mortgage, or when things calm down within the government. Like, those things will perpetually keep us in that space of waiting. And sometimes you just gotta do it. That's what Mercury in Aries, Venus in Aries is all about, is sometimes you just gotta do it. Sometimes the right time is the time that you do it, honestly. My very first episode of Magic Monday, I almost didn't post because I was like, who even cares about this? Like at a time like this, it was 2020, by the way, when Magic Monday began, and I had just gotten laid off from my yoga job. And I had a Monday morning yoga class that I would start every single week with. And I really liked that, like starting the week with intention and gathering people together around this energy of co-creation, making Mondays magical, making our lives magical. But that was no longer a part of my life. And with my yoga classes, I really loved to weave in astrology. And so I was like, what if I had a weekly ritual? Obviously, I don't have my yoga class anymore, but what if I still had a weekly ritual? And this time we'll just talk about astrology. And thus Magic Monday was born, and I filmed it. And before posting it, all of a sudden, all of the fear came up and all of the excuses came up, truly, around who even cares about this? Like, no one's going to want to listen to you talk about the astrology of the week. Like, there's so many other resources that they could find that from. I look weird within this video. Like, I come across so awkward within this video. Who's even going to care about this? What if I don't have the stamina to post this every single week? As well as, I don't need to remind you what the world looked like in 2020. I was like, this might not be the time for me to talk about astrology. Like, who even cares about astrology at a time such as this? Maybe I should wait for things to settle down and things to calm down. And if I was waiting on that, I would still be waiting. But that was what my defenses were firing off at that moment before I hit post. But regardless, I just powered through all of those and I just hit that post button. And there was a moment when it was live where I felt very exposed. It felt very vulnerable trying something new. You know, you go through the motions around, what if someone from my hometown finds this and thinks that I'm so lame? Or what if people are making fun of my own imperfections and insecurities the ways that I do? Like, you go through all of these motions. And if I would have let that voice win, my love, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. We would not be sitting here right now. And so sometimes you have to feel the fear and do it anyway, as well as decide waiting for the perfect time will mean waiting forever. Sometimes you just got to show up imperfectly and go from there. But if there's something that feels very real and honest for you to share, or an idea that, yes, it's a little scary, but feels true to you, there's a nudge to follow it through. You never know where it will go. I had no idea hitting post on IGTV, which is that even a thing anymore? I don't even know if that's a thing, but I had no idea that hitting post on that 10-minute IGTV talking about the astrology of the week and calling it Magic Monday, I had no idea it would lead me here. And what could that idea that you have in your brain right now, where could it lead you? What journey could it lead you on? And it may require you to pivot and shift. Magic Monday has pivoted and shifted enormously. It's like a totally different show than how it started. But to get here, I had to start, and I had to start imperfectly. And it's one thing to start it, and I feel like sometimes that is something to overcome, but then the consistency of showing up. And we will find more of that, I believe, when Mercury enters into Taurus a little later on this week. Again, we can have the spark of a new idea, but it's different thing to have a spark versus sustain it. Add the kindling, to add the wood in order to keep that heat and that inspiration going. And so with Mercury sextile Jupiter, yes, it could be an inspired day. You could have creative new ideas, but those ideas could fly away as quickly as they come in. And so our lunar story on Monday, May 5th, the day starts off with the moon in Leo. The Leo moon trines Chiron in Aries at 1:44 a.m. It can be very healing to create. Being creative is cathartic. Truly, if you can take your pain and turn it into a book, if you could take your pain and turn it into a poem, if you can take your pain and turn it into a piece of content or into something on the live stream, like, it's healing twofold. It's healing both for you to relay it as well as other people to not feel so alone. There's something so incredibly potent when you watch a YouTube video of someone talking about something that you connect to, or listening to a song that you're like, did they have my ex-best friend as a best friend? Because this sounds like exactly what I went through. If we all pretended to be perfect and like we didn't have problems, we would feel so isolated. Like sometimes creating about our pain makes us feel less alone because we put it into something else, as well as consuming art of themes that we relate to makes us feel less alone as well. And so there could be a nudge around that if you happen to be awake around 2 a.m. PDT. The Leo moon then squares Uranus at 6:03 a.m. So some of you could have an unexpected wake-up call. Like you could have an unexpected wake-up call of, you know, your fire alarm going off, or somebody like screaming outside around God knows what, or maybe you overslept your alarm and you start your day in this very like jolted way. Or there could just be an energy where your attention feels fraught. You could be like, I don't want to go to work. You could be wanting to like rebel against what your day is requiring of you. And honestly, you likely won't feel like locked in and productive until the moon enters Virgo, which happens at 12:40. So you could kind of have a morning around kind of like effing around. Virgo is an energy that is very grounded. It's very pragmatic. It can tilt towards being a little bit nervous. But I will say we've got a Taurus sun, we've got a Virgo moon, so it can be a great afternoon to go grocery shopping or to work out or to meal prep or to clean or to water your plants. Just finding a sense of solace through grounding down within your physical realm. On Tuesday, May 6th, at 2:31 p.m., Venus in Aries will sextile Pluto in Aquarius. And this was the energy weaved into the vibe check around experiencing more depth and intimacy with your followers because you did open up. Life is a risk, like I said. It's a risk to open up to someone new. It's a risk to keep our heart closed. It's a risk to pivot our content in a new direction. It's a risk to stay within what we've currently been doing. It is an illusion to think that we have security and stability in anything. In anything. Pluto retrograde and the Scorpio full moon reminds us of that. And I know that can feel very unsettling because it's Taurus season. It's like, I want to feel secure. I want to feel safe. But regardless, you could continue on just doing your beauty, fashion, and lifestyle content and then find that the economy shifts in such a way that that's not necessarily what people are gravitating towards. You never know what the future holds. So you really have to go in the direction around what feels right for me. Because it could be a risk to stay with what you're doing. It could be a risk to go in this new direction of where you're wanting to pivot your content. You're wanting to talk more about mental health and heartache and things like this. It's a risk to go in that direction. There's many risks, some of which you may have concocted around what if people from my hometown finds it? What if my ex finds this? What if it flops? Or it could be something that surprises you, a risk that you hadn't even anticipated. Life is a risk. It's just an illusion to think that the risk of staying still and doing what you've always been doing is the less scary option rather than trying something new. But for you within the vibe check, the reason you knew that you were going in a direction that felt good is because of the level of depth that you found within your followers within the live chat, as well as that DM that came in after. As I shared with you, Magic Monday as a show has evolved quite a bit. And with that, it opened up more space for me to start talking about more real things that were happening within my life, things that I've gone through. And it has been such an unexpected gift, but such a beautiful gift, how much closer I feel to you all. And I feel that within my self-care astrology sessions and voice memos, within my one-on-one consultations, like the conversations that I'm able to have with those who follow my work is so much deeper because I'm not just astrology, like I'm also a human being who's living out this astrology. And I know it was the right shift, even though it still feels uncomfortable sometimes to talk about certain things that I'm going through. I knew it was right because of the amount of closeness that I was able to feel with you all. And that I didn't feel this pressure around having to be this astrology robot who never went through anything within her world and who was always perfect and who was always on all of the time. And the depth made it clear that this was the right shift. Yes, it was a risk to start opening up about certain elements of what I've gone through and what I'm going through, but it led to more depth, more intimacy, more closeness within what I experience with my subscribers. And also you may find this within some friend or acquaintance or coworker within your life, where sometimes when you share that real, when you get away from the small talk and the pleasantries and the weather talk when you're just like, I'm going through it. Listen, I found out my ex-best friend was talking trash about me, or I found out that I have to move in 3 weeks, or I found out this, what I found out that. Sometimes when you kind of have a conversation that's real around, listen, I'm going through it. I can't even talk to you about the weather right now. I'm going through it. A lot of times you do experience more closeness as a result to that. Now, I'm not advocating that everybody needs to trauma dump this week and blurt out all their secrets on a live stream. I know you Scorpio placements out there are shuddering. That's not what I'm implying. But if you feel like there is a certain connection within your life where you feel like you have to perform, there could be a nudge this week. What if you were honest? What if you were authentic? What if you being honest and authentic and just saying, hey, I'm having a day? What if that also allowed the other person to feel safe to be like, listen, me too. Oh my God, I'm so glad that I get to be real with you. I felt like we had to be perfect around each other, be robotic around each other, and now I'm able to just be real. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. Like, that is an illusion that your mind has tricked you with, thinking that you need to be perfect to be loved, or thinking that you can't be going through things to be loved, or thinking that you have to perform in order to be loved. You can be authentic and raw and messy and be loved. And oftentimes when you stop pretending to be perfect, you do experience more depth within your connections with other people. And so there can be an energy, whether it's within an existing connection or even like a new connection, there could be something powerful and deep showing up at this moment. An opportunity to evolve your connection in a way that feels very soulful, that feels very aligned, that feels very authentic. You know, Venus is also beauty. So with the sextile to Pluto, some of you could be wanting to get rid of some clothes that no longer feel aligned or authentic to you, true to you. You could be wanting to like do some spring cleaning or something like that. Again, with Pluto retrograde, Scorpio full moon, there kind of is an energy right now where we're wanting to like burn it all down, give it all away. There kind of is a nudge around that currently. And so you could feel that as it relates to throwing out old makeup, releasing old clothes, donating old clothes that no longer feel aligned, maybe even evolving your look in a way that feels very real and true to you. I want to be so clear. It's not like ideal astrology ever. If you wanted to like dye your hair pink or chop off all your hair, Venus is not sitting in territory that it particularly loves to be in. But sometimes you just need a change. And sometimes you don't need to wait for the astrology to be perfect. Sometimes you just got to take action when it feels right. And so some of you could chop off all your hair and feel like it was the right time for it. Was it a little impulsive? Yes. But did it feel right? Did it prompt a change? Yes. And that's what we look for. Also, you could be a little bit more impulsive around money. With the sextile to Pluto, there is a focus around how to regenerate money. So we also experience on Tuesday Mercury conjoining Chiron. This lands before 7 p.m. PDT. And Mercury governs our words, our thoughts, our communication. And with the alignment to Chiron, there can be a nudge to have more real conversations. Sometimes we have the energy where we're like, did I overshare? Did I just trauma dump on that stranger or on my coworker? You definitely want to be mindful about that. You know, there is a difference between being authentic and real and honest versus just like emotionally throwing up all over someone else. Like, you definitely do want to be intentional about that. You know, words are like toothpaste. You can't put them back in the tube. So there is an ask to be intentional with what you are sharing. But with Mercury and Chiron, you can find talking through things with someone that you love, someone that you trust, journaling around what is coming up is really helping you to get into the realness of it. There is something very healing and cathartic around talking things through. And it does not need to be on youtube.com. It does not need to be on a live stream. Maybe for you, it's with a therapist, a spiritual practitioner, a friend, voice memoing to yourself, opening up photo booth, talking to yourself. Sometimes when you listen back to what you say, you realize, dang, that was real. That was real as could be. And not like in a narcissistic way around like hyping yourself up, but you just hear things differently when they're broken down into words. Because when our thoughts are just swirling within our own brain, they can convince us of all sorts of things. They can play tricks on us. They can seem very real. But when we talk it out, we see, okay, what are my fears around pivoting my content? What if people don't like that I'm being authentic and being me? Do I want people to follow me if I'm not being true to myself, if I feel like I have to perform? Like sometimes you're able to like clock things when you see it in a written form or when you hear it back or when you talk about it to a friend, they reflect something to you. You realize that's not really true, or that's not really valid, or you're able to get to the truth, the honesty of it around, oh, that's why I'm uncomfortable with this, or oh, that's why I have this particular trigger is because of this experience within my life. Like sometimes when you take your swirling thoughts out of your brain and put them onto a piece of paper, or put them into a song, put them into a conversation, you see things differently. You're able to get to the truth. I, for one, would have lost my mind last year had I not had this outlet. And sometimes that shows up, like I highlighted, around opening up, around I'm going through this, the astrology is showing up for me around this, I'm feeling this, what have you. But sometimes it's even just being able to talk about the astrology, just like, guys, do you feel this as well? And it just reminds me that we're all in this together. Like when I see your guys' comments and how you're feeling things, it's like, I'm not alone. Now, I do want to let you know in terms of like realistically how we will feel this astrology, this could be a day that you are struggling a little bit more mentally. With Mercury Chiron, I just have to be so real with that. You know, this is aligning in Aries, which is a Mars-ruled sign. Mars is the planet that is associated with weaponry. Your mind can be such a weapon. Like your mind can be beating you down at this particular moment. And with Mercury Chiron, again, killing off this great idea before it even has the ability to get off the ground. Putting water on the spark before you even have the ability to add some kindling to it. Like your mind will do that, and your mind plays tricks on you. And with Mercury Chiron, your mind could be telling you that it's all over for you and you're not good enough. And because of these insecurities, you'll never be able to do A, B, and C. Because of these inadequacies, you'll never be able to take that idea that could have inspired you yesterday and take it into real life. Clock that when it comes up. Tune into, this is the voice of my insecurities. This is not the voice of my own empowered self. You guys know what a fan of alter egos I am. Like having that empowered alter ego is helpful, as well as having the voice of your limiting beliefs and your doubts and your insecurities. So you could just say, okay, Bertha, or whatever you want to call it. Sorry to any Berthas out there. Whatever you want to call it. Okay, Bertha. Okay, my inner monologue that's telling me that I'm dumb and I'm stupid and I look weird and no one's ever going to watch this 10-minute Magic Monday IGTV. Okay, freaking Bertha. Well, I want to. And this felt fun to post, so I'm going to post it. If Bertha had won, we would not be here. And Bertha's very convincing. And with Chiron energy, it activates our deepest triggers. We think of all of the times that we were rejected before, and putting ourselves out there in this way opens ourselves up to be rejected again. It brings to the surface, hey, remember this traumatic thing that happened when you were 7 years old? Remember how exposed you felt? Yeah, don't take a risk so that you don't feel that sort of way again. Your mind could be playing tricks on you and latching on to very sensitive parts of you at this time. With Mercury Chiron, you could be having conversations that are more real or more raw. Other people could be responding a little bit more triggered. Like you could just say, hey babe, I noticed that you clean the sinks and not the mirrors. And your partner could snap at you around, I guess I can't do anything right. Like I just tried to clean the bathroom for you and it's still not good enough. And you're like, whoa, I was just saying, like, why don't you clean the mirrors? But again, they could just be feeling that energy around, I'm underappreciated and no one appreciates me. And that particular comment triggered them to react. Like people could be a little sensitive and a little triggered today. Whether you're the one who's kind of snapping at people because you feel more sensitive, you feel more triggered, or other people could be snapping at you. Again, no one should be talking to you disrespectfully, but it's important to know that it could be coming from a more wounded, sensitive, or insecure place on Tuesday. The moon's in Virgo all day long, so I will say that Mercury Chiron energy is even more emphasized as the Virgo moon is answering to Mercury Chiron. So you could just be feeling a little emotionally triggered, vulnerable, sensitive. And my encouragement would be with the Virgo moon, work out, get down into your body, talk things out. Again, if you're not a fan of putting it on the internet, because I get that's a wild thing to do. Maybe this is talking to a friend. You know, it's fascinating to see that we have the moon in Virgo all day long as we're having these energies, because pretending to be perfect can get in the way of having real, raw, authentic connection. It's hard to get close with someone if every time you're around them, you're like, everything's perfect, everything's going great. It's like, how do we talk about the real? You know, how do we really go deep if you're trying to act like you're perfect and you're performing all the time? How can we really go deep? And with the energy of Virgo moon, you could feel that energy around, feeling like you have to cover it all up, and be put together and all together all of the time. And that's not sustainable. Again, I'm not saying that we need to debut our mess out into the world necessarily. Definitely there is a time and a place, but really observe where it is that you feel like you have to perform around. I've got all together and everything's perfect here, because you could be blocking true intimacy or closeness or connection, truly under the skies around I'm perfect and everything's great within my world. How can people connect to that? People want authenticity. Truly, that's going to be even more of a focus with Neptune now in Aries, Saturn soon to enter Aries, right around the corner this month, guys. And so with the energy of Virgo moon, it could emotionally satiate you to feel this sensation of order, to get your ducks in a row, to get your to-do list completed, to get your house cleaned, to handle the details of your reality. But if someone asks you how you are and you have that choice point around, should I just act like everything's fine, or should I just say, I'm kind of going through it? Maybe choose to be honest in that moment. People find it very hard to connect with people who are perfect because nobody's perfect. And so with the Virgo moon answering to that Mercury Chiron connection, people are feeling more triggers today. They're feeling a little bit more emotional today. You can find that you're more likely to snap. You could be more sensitive to critique. Like your coworker could point something out to you and you snap at them. You point something out to your partner, as I said earlier, they snap at you. We're a little bit more sensitive, and it can be coming from a little bit more of a neurotic or a triggered place. And with the energy of Virgo moon, come back into your body, breathe, journal it out with that Mercury Chiron alignment. And if there is a safe place to do so, a dinner date with a friend, the page of your journal, a voice memo to yourself, allow yourself to be honest and real with what's coming up. You may experience more depth and intimacy within your connection with others, or more clarity within your own perspective. And that evening at 9:50 p.m., the Virgo moon will trine the Taurus sun, which, yes, is an opportunity to cook a nice meal, take a yoga class, ground down into your physical environment in order to soothe your mind and soothe your insecurities. But I also want to highlight, we are building to the Scorpio full moon that lands Monday, May 12th. We are in the lunar phase. That's waxing gibbous lunar phase, which is a lunar phase that is about improving, perfecting. And again, perfection is the enemy to progress, truly. Sometimes you got to be down with that messy first draft in order to get to that polished end result. And if you find that you're waiting for the right time, waiting for the right time, waiting for the right time, waiting for it to be perfect, my love, you'll be waiting a long time. Sometimes you got to show up imperfectly and feel vulnerable and exposed and feel like everybody's making fun of me and I'm so cringy and what have you, in order to get better and to refine. And so just being mindful around where you're being too hard on yourself, and seek to ground yourself down within this stage of your journey. If you are feeling that energy around, ooh, I tried something new and I feel so exposed, or ooh, I was really honest in conversation and that feels a little scary, ground yourself down one step at a time. On Wednesday, May 7th, in the morning time, the Virgo moon will square Jupiter in Gemini. As I stated yesterday, we are in that waxing gibbous moon phase. So there could be a lot that you are refining and perfecting and improving. There could be a lot that you are doing currently. Virgo moons do tend to be quite productive, but you can be feeling a little overwhelmed or a little neurotic by how much you have to get done at this particular time. You can be feeling pulled away by a lack of focus, just dealing with more distractions. Coworkers popping into your office, asking you for help with this, or just like an email chain that keeps just like dragging you out of the present moment. Your Slack notifications going off, something like this. Have your to-do list, get things done one step at a time. Remember that it's Taurus season, so drink water. Remember to take a lunch break, walk around, get your steps in today and every day. The Virgo moon will trine Uranus and Taurus around 5 p.m. PDT. So talk about getting your steps in. Maybe when you wrap up with work, go somewhere, take a long walk, take a walk around the pond, go with a friend. Have some real conversations with a friend. I'm telling you, that is therapeutic, okay? To be able to like vent with a friend or chat with a friend, and there could be an energy around movement or seeing something new is helpful for that. Also could be great to try a new restaurant, to try out a new recipe, or to really ask yourself, what does self-care look like for me honestly today? Honestly, truly. Like, is what's going to be best for me to sit down on my couch and binge this particular series? Or would it feel, even if it feels hard, even if my mind is telling me that it's impossible for me to go out and take that walk, would it be the most loving and nourishing thing for myself for me to get some fresh air and take a walk around? And sometimes you gotta like trick yourself around. I'll just walk around the block once. Like, the hardest thing is putting on your shoes and getting out the door to go for a walk. And once you're out, you see the birds, you feel the breeze, you see the flowers, and then you're like, I think I'll do longer than just one walk around the block. I think I'll go to the park. And then from there you go more and more. Or maybe you can trick yourself around going to the gym after work around, I'll just go there and I'll be on the treadmill for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, that's all I have to do. But then once you're there, you get in the flow of it and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I'll do arms too. And you know what? Maybe I'll hit the Stairmaster too. Sometimes it's about starting, just starting the thing. Hitting post, putting on the shoes, getting to the gym. Sometimes that's the hardest part, and that's the mental battle, right? And with Mercury still pretty close to Chiron, sometimes we have to overcome around, what's the point of even going to the gym? Like, I'm not going to get fit anyway. Or what's the point of even going for a walk around the block? My life sucks anyway. I suck anyway. What's the point of even posting this? No one cares about it. You got to clock it when it comes up. That's Bertha speaking. That's Bertha speaking. And, you know, Bertha could be loud on Wednesday night. I'll tell you that, because after the Virgo moon trines Uranus in Taurus, the Virgo moon will oppose Saturn in Pisces. So you could be hard on yourself. You could be more critical. Other people could be more critical with you. Bertha could be mouthing off about this, that, and the third. Life could feel hard. You could feel pressured by responsibilities. You want to relax, but there's a mess to clean up. You want to unwind, but there's too much to do. You got bad feedback at work that you're still beating yourself up about. That alignment happens at 9:11 p.m. and then the moon is void. So give yourself the permission to get your mind off of it. I know it's not so easy. It's not like a light switch, but readdress your focus point around when you feel an emotion. If it continues on longer than 30 seconds, pull yourself back to a focus point around, is this helpful? It's probably not. And especially, I just feel like on Wednesday night, some people could have a hard time sleeping. You could be worrying about something, or again, beating yourself up for some sort of mistake. Draw yourself back to the focus point around, my body deserves rest. My body deserves sunshine. My body deserves movement at the gym, what have you. And worrying is quite literally the least productive thing that you could do. And I wish it was that easy, and I know it's not that easy, but just recognize if you are staying up late worrying about something and give your body the gift of rest. Okay, Thursday's astrology is giving that coworker, that client who schmoozes a lot, where their words sound nice, but you know they're lacking substance. Or that person that you go on a date with who is so charismatic and so charming, but you know they're just telling you what you want to hear. That's what Thursday's astrology is giving. Now, I'm not saying that every person you interact with is lacking substance and just full of fluff and selling you on a fake dream, but I would say be mindful of this. Last week, we talked about Venus's conjunction to Neptune. You can get caught up on that below. And while that is separating now, the Libra moon aspects both, so it sort of pulls in certain dynamics of this. And again, we want real with all this Aries energy. If something feels off, honor that. Charm is the ability to convince someone that both of you is the best, right? And words can sound nice, people can schmooze, people can be charismatic, but where's the substance? Where's the substance? So just be mindful if somebody is trying to sell you on something, or you go on a date with someone who seems too good to be true and you just feel like something is off. Listen when you feel like something is off. If something seems too good to be true, whether it's a financial opportunity, whether it's someone that you are going on a date with, honor that. Now, important caveat, we still have Mercury separating from Chiron, and sometimes we can sabotage ourselves from a more triggered place where we don't trust this person, not because they seem a butterfly just fluttered by, guys, outside of my window. That was so lovely, especially with what I shared before. Shout out to the butterfly. Shout out to the butterfly. But sometimes when we've been hurt before, our mind can convince us that every other thing is going to hurt us. So if we've been deceived by a job, if we've been deceived by a person, our mind can convince us that that's going to happen with every other person. And it's hard sometimes to be like, is this coming from my intuition, or is this coming from anxiety? Is this coming from Bertha, who wants me to stay stuck and not open my heart or not try something new? It's important to discern where something is coming from. And my invitation would be, with the Taurus energy in the cosmos currently, which is very physical, and the Aries energy, which is very instinctive, my encouragement would be, clue into how your body feels. Like, learning your own body's cues can be a very powerful way to figure out where something is coming from, where that off feeling is coming from, because sometimes it is us self-sabotaging, sometimes it is us having been traumatized that will convince us that there must be something wrong, or I need to break up with this person before they break up with me, or I need to not pursue this new job opportunity even though it could change my life, because it's coming from that part of us that wants to keep ourselves safe, even though that's also a risk. And whether it's a legitimate red flag that's going up, like legitimately, this feels off. Everyone's language for deciphering that is different, but I will say currently, pay attention to how your body feels. Pay attention to how your body feels. Pay attention to what your body feels like when you're more so in that protective mode, when you're more so in that self-sabotaging mode, and pay attention to what your body feels like when it's coming from, no, legitimately something feels off. And it's hard to decipher that, and I think it's different for each of us, but sometimes with Mercury Chiron, if we talk things out, we're able to get to it around, okay, why do I feel like my guard is up with this new person I'm dating? Is it because they remind me of my ex? Is it because I feel nauseous around them? Like, sometimes just even chatting yourself through it helps you substantiate, okay, is this coming from fear and having experienced trauma and having gone through something and my body wanting to like overly protect me? Or is my intuition legitimately signaling something to me? And if it is coming from a place around, I've been hurt before, I've been wounded before, allow yourself to talk through where this fear is coming from, because sometimes you can see, oh, that's just my essentially wounded mind convincing me that this is not safe. It's not genuinely coming from my intuition. Because like I said, life is a risk. It's a risk to sign on the dotted line. It's a risk to not sign on the dotted line. It's a risk to go on a date with this person. It's a risk to keep your heart closed. And the only way you can figure out in life which risks are worth taking is to figure out what is true for you. What is true for you? What feels like the right thing to do for you? There is no right or wrong decisions in life. You just make a decision and you make it right. And so you have to learn the language of how your soul talks to you, or your authentic truth talks to you, in order to make decisions that are in the most integrity with you. And the reason I'm emphasizing this on Thursday, the moon enters Libra very early in the day. This, of course, draws our awareness to our connections, our collaborations, any sort of compromise within our world, keeping the peace. Again, this could be very schmoozy, charismatic energy, but the Libra moon opposes Neptune around 3 a.m. Now, this can certainly enliven your dream space quite a bit. You know, I always say that with Neptune energy. But it also can make people's charm more of a smokescreen. Like, when someone is charming, or even when someone is beautiful, we are more inclined to believe them. You know, the halo effect states that when someone is attractive, we will artificially assign them other qualities that they have not earned. We will consider them more trustworthy. We will consider them more successful, what have you. Appearances can be deceiving. Charm can be deceiving. And with Neptune energy, seeing is not necessarily believing, which is why it's important to honor what your instincts are telling you. With this Aries energy, at 7:48 a.m., the Libra moon will trine Pluto in Aquarius. Keep in mind, the Libra moon is answering to Venus, who also sextiled Pluto earlier in the week. So there's a lot of Pluto energy. We are craving depth, from our connections, right? We're building to a Scorpio full moon. We want intimacy. We want to feel seen to a deeper level, intimacy. Into me, you see. And that is a risk, as I stated, to have that deep level of depth, but it's also a risk to not be seen in that particular way. Like, to be seen to that level means that people can hurt you to a deeper level. When they know your trauma, when they know your triggers, when they know your inner desires, yes, you do empower that individual with weaponry that they could utilize to hurt you, but not everybody will hurt you. And it's also a risk to stay guarded. That also is a risk. And so with a Libra moon trine Pluto, know that any sort of deep connection does take those moments of vulnerability, of being honest around, hey, I need this, or hey, I'm going through this. And you do experience a lot of closeness. Yes, this is a risk, but a lot of times it's a risk worth taking. And it's not to say that all of us are bearing our souls on Thursday. This could just be an energy where you really have a deeper conversation with a client, or you want to plan a romantic date night with your partner. You want intimacy, you want closeness, you want to feel connected, truly. And there could be a little bit of a teeter-totter energy around 10:30 a.m. as the Libra moon opposes Venus in Aries. So it's like, how do I honor close connection while also being true to myself? And do I need to sacrifice certain elements of being true to myself in order to maintain this close connection? There could be like a little bit of a back and forth in that, as well as potentially for some, not all, dealing with a schmoozy client or someone who's trying to woo you, a suitor or something like that, who's telling you everything that you want to hear and promising this closeness, but like your instincts are telling you something differently. Do not abandon yourself for the sake of connection. Do not allow someone else's charm or pretty words to be more real than what it is that you feel is right. Do not allow someone else telling you, let's say within the vibe check, your friend says, yeah, but no one follows you to hear about that. So I want to do it. Like, just stick to what's the best eyebrow pencil, stick to the best lip pencil. Like, that might be best for them, but you're feeling pulls in this other direction. Like, no one can tell you what's true for you. Only you can. And if you are dating someone who makes you feel like you have to dress different, you have to behave different, observe when you're performing, as well as observe when what someone else is selling you or convincing you of requires you to abandon what feels right for you. And clock when somebody else's pretty words or charm is causing you to abandon yourself around, I feel weird about this. I don't feel like it's coming from my triggers. Like, genuinely, there's just something that feels off about it, but it sounds so nice. And they're telling me what I want to hear. Do not abandon yourself for someone else. Do not make somebody else's words more real than your own intuition. You'll be burned every single time when you do that. So it's like, do you want to learn the hard way? Do you want to learn the hard way? And so with this energy, again, I'm not saying all of you are going to be schmoozed and deceived. I just think that there's a nudge to invest in closeness, invest in intimacy, but not at the expense of abandoning yourself. As we walk towards the evening time, particularly 7:07 p.m., the Libra moon will sextile Mars in Leo, which can be a very loving energy, a very passionate energy, a great date night, honestly. Great time for a workout. On Friday, May 9th, the only aspect that we have today is that the Libra moon trines Jupiter in Gemini at 11:17 p.m. PDT. So the separating aspect is the Libra moon sextile Mars in Leo from the night before, and then we're building to this expansive, optimistic trine to Jupiter. And it's Friday, Venus Day. We're in a Venus-ruled sun season, Taurus. The moon is in a Venus-ruled sign. There's a lot of Venusian energy. And so find opportunities to infuse your day with a little bit more sweetness, with connection. This also may be a great night for date night or to get your girls together, go out. There's just really a desire to want to invest energy towards feeling more connected with others. There could be more of a chatty or conversational energy with the Libra moon trining Jupiter in Gemini. Some of you could absolutely feel this around wanting to learn something new, take on a new language, or dive deep into some sort of documentary or something like this. I do want to let you know it's a full moon weekend and you could start to feel this intensity bubbling. And sometimes when things feel frenetic or intense, it's helpful to blow off some steam, right? To go out dancing and to get the girls together, to have a game night. Like there just could be a lot of energy in the cosmos. And while that could feel intense and fraught, there could also be this desire around, okay, I had a week, I need to have a little fun, I need to dance, I need to vent. And while Friday's astrology is good to do things that widen your perspective, that remind you that the world is big, bigger than your problems and your insecurities and your issues, there's also a nudge to be mindful as it relates to excess. Jupiter is the planet of doing things big. So sometimes you could decide that you want to go out dancing and it feels good to be out on the dance floor and connecting with other humans. And again, reminding yourself there's a whole world out here outside of work and outside of responsibilities. That is a good feeling, but definitely be mindful towards excess, as well as being more discerning with what you choose to share. Mercury is positioned at the anaretic degree of Aries for most of Friday, as it does enter Taurus in the wee hours on Saturday morning. And the anaretic degree can create this energy of urgency, like now or never. And with Mercury in Aries, you can blurt something out on the dance floor that you're like, ooh, foot and mouth, a little too real, a little too honest. And you also can, with the energy of Libra Moon trine Jupiter, think if something feels good, it will continue to feel good. So if one margarita felt good, then 3 will feel even better, which is not the case. And again, sometimes indulging in things like that can affect your inhibitions in such a way that you are not able to distinguish what needs to be said versus what does not need to be said. On Saturday, May 10th, Mercury, the planet of thoughts and communications and intellect, enters the fixed earth sign of Taurus around 5 a.m. And this should slow down your thinking. You know, sometimes with Aries energy, it's like the faster the better. We could be more impatient. We could be more frustrated if someone is talking slow. But there is a particular potency when it comes to being intentional, being specific, and choosing your words and thinking on something before you feel rushed to make a decision. There is a particular magic in that, and a magic we are all going to discover with Mercury now in Taurus. It's nice to have a spark of inspiration and a spark of initiation, but then you have to maintain it. And eventually that spark needs kindling, it needs structure, it needs support. That idea that you have to pivot your content, it needs you to consistently show up for that. And this would be the part of the vibe check where you do just that, right? You feel the fear and you do it anyway. You make this announcement on your new content, and now it's to continue to sustain it. Because you can have the greatest idea in the world, you can start all of the things, but the magic is in the consistency. The magic is in the sustaining of it. And this may show up as it relates to your ideas altogether. With Mercury in Taurus, there is an emphasis on pragmatism around if something makes sense. You know, Taurus energy always makes me think of plants. And it's like when we buy a plant, we also are committing to take care of said plant. You know, it might be fun the first couple of times of watering the plant, but eventually it's like just second nature, right? But those are the moments that it counts. That's where the plant either thrives or it wilts. And so will you show up for your ideas, for that spark of inspiration that could have shown up earlier in the week? And do know that we are building to the Scorpio full moon intensity. And with Mercury in Taurus, don't feel like the volatile nature of this full moon building needs to make you behave very emotionally or erratically. It's safe for you to think things out, to take your time in making a decision. If someone is rushing you to make a decision, that's a red flag. Because when you're rushed to make a decision, you're not always clued into your intuition telling you, ooh, this doesn't feel quite right. Like sometimes in those moments of kind of settling down and grounding, you realize, no, this isn't coming from insecurity, inadequacy, the pain of what I've gone through. This is my intuition saying that something's wrong. Or even Taurus is very grounded. The math isn't mathin'. Here could be an energy. And with Mercury in Taurus, you could find that you are really seeking to ground ideas down, to implement them, to bring them into existence. It's very easy for us to have an idea. Implementing that idea is much more challenging. Having the resources necessary to ensure that that idea thrives, having the consistency and the discipline to ensure that that idea thrives, that's much different. Ideas, especially in the world of being an entrepreneur or creative, really don't go that far. They truly don't within themselves. If that idea is not backed by structure and implementation and rollout, an idea is just that, an idea, a spark that will wilt. And so with Mercury and Taurus, you can find that you're not wanting to invest your mental energy in anything that doesn't seem worth it to you, right? Like Taurus energy is very mindful around protecting their peace, or around, I'm not gonna continue to make beauty and fashion content if I don't want to. Like, that's not a return on my investment that I want to do. Or maybe it's you even deciding it's not worth it for me to pivot my content. It's just really wanting to factor what's the return on investment. Or even as it relates to conversations with Mercury and Taurus, wanting to talk about things that are grounded and pragmatic within your world, wanting solutions. You know, talk is cheap, but it's like an energy around, do you mean what you say? Can you plant into existence what you say? It's easy for someone to say, oh, you should do this with your home or do this with your home, but it's another thing to invest in that or to actually do the work to fix this and that. So with Mercury and Taurus, you could just have this energy around, yeah, like show me the receipts. Our lunar story on Saturday, the moon starts the day in Libra. We have an opposition to Chiron around 2 a.m. So again, it could have been all fun and games last night, but if you overindulged with the opposition to Chiron, there could have been some feelings that caught up to you, some insecurities. There could have been some trigger points within a relationship or feeling the lack thereof of some sort of relationship, something like this. The moon's void for the first portion of the day until it enters Scorpio. The sign of the full moon around 1 p.m. This is the sign of the moon's fall, so it does plunge us into this more intense place. Our emotions can feel more black and white, and that's where it's important with Mercury and Taurus to ground yourself down. You know, our emotions can convince us of all sorts of things, but with Mercury and Taurus, address the facts, what is real and true at this particular moment in time. And that could be particularly potent in the latter portion of the day because we basically have this fixed T-square in the cosmos between the Scorpio moon, Pluto in Aquarius, and Mercury in Taurus. And so there could be an energy around fearing the future or being paranoid or feeling things in extremes and then trying to talk yourself down around, okay, what is real and true within my experience? How can I ground myself down? On Sunday, May 11th, the only aspect is that the Scorpio moon will square Mars in Leo around 10:30 a.m. And just because this is the only aspect that we're having today does not mean that it's not eventful. The Scorpio full moon lands bright and early Monday morning, and we'll cover it on next week's Magic Monday, don't you worry. But we're feeling that build in the air. And with the Scorpio full moon, things could be feeling intense. You could be feeling plunged into your new reality, whether you are ready or not. You could be feeling called to be the phoenix of your own existence, to rebirth, to reinvent, to burn down what you did before as the beauty, fashion, lifestyle creator that you were in order to try something new, to take a risk, to go in a new direction. There could be some sort of connection within your world that feels built on a hollow version of yourself or a version of you where you felt like you had to perform. It doesn't get much more real than a Scorpio full moon. This is, can you handle my depths, my secrets, the underlying core of who it is that I am? And can I trust it so much that I am guided towards my next era, my next transformation? Trusting that whatever is crumbling or falling away or that I'm purposefully destroying at this time will pave the way for my new beginning, the rebirth after the rubble, in a sense. And so that could be very alive in the air. But you could also be feeling a little like emotionally burnt out and drained, or even just physically burnt out or drained with the moon squaring Mars. You could be feeling crabbier, grumpier, just like not in the mood. Can kind of be the vibe on Sunday. And with that full moon building, give yourself permission to feel what is coming up, but pull yourself back to that focus point. Allow yourself to go through the emotions for 30 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever it may be, and then draw yourself back to the focus point. It's not dismissing yourself, it's not faking, but it's just saying, I allowed myself to feel that, and I'm pulling my focus within this other direction. You know, it's important to balance emotion with logic. always in life, but particularly we've got Mercury and Taurus. Like, we've got to ground ourselves down. Even if things feel unstable and shaky, what do you do to ground yourself down? Because if you exist purely through the lens of emotion, you will be easily ruffled. And it's important to be solid in who it is that you are and what it is that you're about and what it is that your deepest truth is beneath the surface, beneath the fluff, beneath the performance, who you are to a soul level. And that's why our Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I empower my own becoming. To grow means to outgrow. And with Pluto retrograde, the Scorpio full moon, there could be some uncomfortable endings. Certain things that you are letting go that you did not feel ready to let go of. We never really feel ready. Even if something is not feeling aligned, or it hasn't felt quite right, or it feels stale, it's still a grieving to let go of something. It's still a grieving to let go of an era. And sometimes we don't feel ready to step out of it. Sometimes we don't feel ready to step into our new era. We're like, I'll wait until it's more perfect. I'll wait until the world calms down. I'll wait until this. I'll wait until that. But there is an energy around ready or not. Our rebirth is aligning currently. And yes, it's going to bring up fears, but the path that you're being asked to walk is authentic. It's true. It's filled with, yes, risk, but also vitality, and a path that truly feels like your own, a path that you are truly trailblazing. And we always have the ability to reinvent ourselves, to begin again, right? You grew your fashion lifestyle account up to this point. You could do that within this new niche as well. Life is a constant process of the ending and the beginning, the ending and the beginning. To convince ourselves anything otherwise is an illusion. Life is a constant series of new beginnings and endings. And the longer that we cling to things that we know are not right for us, the more of a delay and a blockage that we put towards the things that truly are to a soul level. So embrace your evolution. And because of that, our emoji of the week will be the butterfly. Shout out to this metamorphosis that a lot of us are going through, as well as the butterfly that fluttered by my window mid-forecast. If you don't have emojis, use the word butterfly within a sentence. And that's just a little game to let me know that you made it to the end of the forecast. Quite a feat. I know that these started as 10 minutes long, but they have evolved, as most things do. My Instagram handle is at Haley Comet Astrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. I want to give another warm thank you to Luisa for sponsoring this week's Magic Monday. A reminder to shop their Mother's Day sale by checking out the link below. Pieces on their website start at just $39 for high quality, incredible jewelry that you will love, a mom within your life will love. But until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.